Kothari Enterprise Sales Leader with Fivetran, and to join him, we have Yashwanth Kumar, Account Executive with Fivetran. Kiran leads India Enterprise Business at Fivetran with a mission to ensure organization access to data is as simple and as reliable as electricity. For over 18 years of his career, he has been leading scaling B2B SaaS business in India. Earlier with Adobe and IBM, he has worked with organizations to power their digital transformation initiative. To join him, Yashwanth manages the commercial business for Fivetran in India, having worked in digital transformation space for 7 years in organizations like Salesforce, etc. Can we welcome both of them with big round of applause, please?
Thank you, everyone, for being a great audience. Thank you, Sanjeev, actually, for setting up a great context, because it was pretty much quite enlightening with a lot of information over there, but quite a wealthy piece of information. Me and my colleague Yash will really go down at the bottom of this data engineering. We're going to talk about some of the fundamental tenets of building a viable data strategy, and how at Fivetran we are looking at these problems, and how we really want to solve that. Just moving forward, while walking on the stage, there was one question which was bothering me in my head, that how is my jacket looking? Is it like really crumpled and creasy? And it was like really bothering me, because I'm on the stage and I'm just feeling that everybody's watching me, right? But at the same time, I was wondering, when I'm here, you guys must be thinking that when I'm going back home, what am I doing tomorrow, right? I have a business meeting and I need to present the sales effectiveness. The questions could be all around, what are my marketing channel effectiveness? Where am I spending money on? Okay. There could be business meetings aligned with the management. We're going to talk about, is the operational performance really making sense? Are we good on the efficiency benchmarks? All of those questions which bother all of us today are typically all data-led questions. And that's where we are all talking about building a great data strategy all around it, where data is powering most of our decisions, and to become a strong data-driven organization. Now, the key area which we're talking about when we're doing this kind of a data strategy, and I'm changing the analogy, Sanjeev, over here, from a data refinery to a chandelier. Okay. Let's understand it. This is very interesting, because like a data refinery, which is all about data, imagine a chandelier actually over here, where electricity, like data, is flowing through all of it and really brightening each crystal over there. And each crystal is nothing but basically the insights with which you will take those business decisions to empower your specific function or the larger organization. Now, this could be a marketing question, this could be a sales level decision, this could be an operational decision, this could be a supply chain decision or a human resource decision. But everything requires insights to empower you to take those decisions. And that's where the chandelier makes the room beautiful, because all the crystals, when they start sparkling and glowing, and when the chandelier really runs 24/7, 365 days, it really makes a lot of sense, and the organization is really empowered over there. So that's a shift in the analogy I was wanting to make over here. But primarily, what we have learned quickly over here, when we're talking about building a data strategy, one of the surveys which we ran with data engineers per se, okay, we figured that everybody wants a beautiful chandelier. But is the data really coming on time? Like Sanjeev actually poked a question, that I have tons and tons of data in my data lakes and various storage systems and files. Am I even able to access it to draw out insights and analysis out of it? And that's a pertinent question actually, because all of us are in our heads struggling with that. Data teams, as what we have gone ahead and figured, 98% of their time they are spending on building these pipelines. Businesses are not able to take the right decisions in a timely fashion more than 50% of the time, because the data is not available. And trust me, nobody wants to really solve these problems, which are like logistical problems in my head. They're like bringing data from here to here, and why should we really spend our time on that when we have some glamorous work to do on modeling and BI and AI, which is absolutely great. Nothing wrong with that. But the foundational element is, do I have the data which I need to drive those decisions? And what struggles we are facing around that. And that's the key question which we at Fivetran are trying to solve. Now, primarily, why it is a problem? Because as we speak to many organizations today, the approach taken is the traditional extract, transform, and load. So I'm going really low, guys. I'm not talking at a very high level now. I'm going deeper into the problem and trying to really make a sense out of the question over there. Now, in a typical ETL process, this is what we have been doing for ages, absolutely going on for like decades now. Okay, as a process, like we have been using so many tools or coding work or all kind of heavy lifting done around it, which goes inside each data source, creates projects by itself. Tons of data engineers are employed over there, and a beautiful, after several man-months, ETL pipelines are created, which will pull data from 3 different sources, 5 different SaaS applications, everything bringing it to a cloud data warehouse, and it runs over there. But it runs with lags. It runs with a lot of complexity. The ETL pipelines are stiff because as we launch new business products, as we launch new business innovations, the sources are changing continuously. As we launch new campaigns, the sources are changing continuously. So is my ETL pipeline adaptable over there? No, it's very stiff actually. You got to go back, stitch everything, then come back to all on the right hand side. Now imagine that if you launch a new product or a new market entry you are doing over there, and which requires a new SKU level conversation, new areas of business directions are required, which changes your transactional applications, which changes your marketing applications, which changes your CRM applications. Now those changes, somebody has to really go and propagate back to your data platform. Now who does that? An engineer does that, who basically sits and codes and does everything manually. And then he again inputs in the ETL pipeline, which completely slows down the data to insight cycle, which completely slows down the data availability. And at times data is just not available, and hence it all impacts. And end of the day, what we have also seen, organizations end up having multiple such ETL technologies because the on-prem system requires something else, the cloud system requires something else, the APIs require something else, and it becomes like 4 to 5 different systems and custom technologies doing all these kind of stuff. Now, can we really simplify this, and can we make this better? That's a question we at Fivetran are looking at trying to solve. Now, primarily what has happened in the industry is a huge shift from ETL to ELT. So the T has moved from the ETL technology or the transformation pipeline technology. The T has moved to the cloud data lake or the cloud data warehouse. Now this is purely because of the huge rise of the MPP kind of technologies, because of parallel processing, which gives a unique architecture pattern, whereby with the big data systems, the storage and the compute of processing could be completely separated. As Sanjeev said, this could be a huge cost savior also, because this can give faster decisions at a much lower cost because of cloud technologies over there. And ELT pretty much resides and lays its foundation on this MPP kind of technology, whereby because of this very nature of ELT, the transformation is happening on the data warehouse. The job remains primarily to move data from left to the right and move it with speed, move it with accuracy, move it in a fault-tolerant nature. And that's what we at Fivetran are primarily doing, basically trying to make this entire design resilient by nature, so that it doesn't break, it goes fast, it moves at its speed, and you get fresh data always possible. Now that is absolutely possible because the way we are doing it is like this, that we have built some 200 plus kind of pipeline connectors. Now imagine that if you launch a new product or a new market entry, and suppose it requires a new application to be built, a custom application. But a custom application has a new source altogether. Now if I have to really bring that source also to my cloud data warehouse, how quickly can I do that? Can it be done in 5 minutes? Or will it take 5 months? Okay. Similarly, imagine that once the data is there in my source system, in my SaaS application like Salesforce or Oracle or Adobe or so on and so forth, and I want to take some marketing channel conversations with my marketing head. But do I have the fresh data always available? Can I sync it like every minute? Okay. from those critical SaaS applications? And that's another question which you always have in your mind, because typically data comes at a huge lag over. Okay. The third key question, which at least I have seen in the banking organizations and even telecom organizations, is high volume of data. Immensely high volume of data, dealing with terabytes of data creation in a single day. Okay. And these terabytes of data may not be always useful, but important to figure out the importance beyond that. So is it really relevant to move that data? And if you have to move terabytes of data from on-prem systems, because they're not on cloud, they're actually on on-prem, like large oracles and 𝗙-based systems which are running on-prem, how do we move that to cloud in a regular stream basis situation? Again, it has to be done in real time to near real time. So all of those challenges is what we are trying to solve at Fivetran, and where we have built product which can really do this work without any human intervention. And all these pipelines can be set up in 5 minutes to start moving data from all these varied sources to the cloud. Now, having said so, let's look at the entire modern data stack again. So we started with this problem, that if I have to start taking decisions across domains, that was the initial slide which I referred to, for all the use cases, that I want to take decisions on personalizations, to marketing, to supply chain, to finance, then what do I need? I will need the data from all my sources, because that's where my core transactions are happening. That's where my core banking, to core insurance, to retail systems, to my refineries, to my operational system, to SAP systems are lying over there. But I want to take decisions based on the data over there in an insightful pattern. And typically to do that, that's where we have a huge data cloud in the middle, which could be a Snowflake over here, where the data is all pumped inside into Snowflake. You create models around it, and you start looking at data in a new fashion over there. And at the same time, you build further capabilities to start moving data back to the applications for those decision-making processes, or you do data sharing across, or it could be AI/ML modeling on top of that. Now the key piece which I'm sure you have guessed it over here now, is that what is missing over here. And that's where Fivetran comes into picture. We are the hook in the chandelier, if you can imagine now. If you just tilt this on a 90-degree, you will imagine this is like a chandelier. I'm just trying to make you imagine something. Okay, like these glasses over here which are like brightened up. These are the use cases which are brightened up over here. Just tilt this up, and the hook over there is pretty much Fivetran. So we are way behind in the entire data systems, but powering the entire knowledge and information over here. But the role which Fivetran plays primarily is connecting the entire enterprise and all the data sources across any kind of medium, across any kind of source, and moving it all onto your intelligent data cloud, so that you can take those decisions in an effective, timely fashion. And that's what we are good at. Okay. Finally, just to say, we are a Python as a service pretty much. Really don't want to market myself over here, but it's a single data pipeline service is what we are talking about. Like basically building up all those 4 or 5 ETLs, bringing it all together into a single platform, and making you work in a very simple fashion, but also giving you the high volume capabilities, which could be on-prem to cloud or multi-cloud kind of a situation. So that's what we are doing primarily for last 10 years, and we have seen a good amount of success in those last decade completely, with thousands of customers really putting their data networks and data platforms attached to Fivetran. And that's a good story which we have had, at least in India also. We have got some 50+ customers now. And I have my colleague Yash to talk about a couple of them now. Yash, over to you.
Thanks, Kiran. So, well, you've seen the list of customers we have onboarded. So, June 2022 is when I joined Fivetran, and I was shadowing Kiran with his call with the CTO of the largest financial services organization in India. One thing which the CTO told us actually stayed back with me. He said, though we have all the resources to build everything under the sun in terms of technology, but we choose to build competitive advantage while we choose to outsource the commodities. And that story or this statement would resonate with you when I talk to you about my customer story here with 𝗃𝗁. So 𝗃𝗁, as you know, is one of the largest used vehicle marketplace, and they're also expanding to multiple regions, multiple geographies, and also other verticals into financial services. And while they were scaling up few years back, their data stack was not scalable, and they had two questions in mind. One, if I have to leverage this data to build competitive advantage, if I have to optimize my customer acquisition cost, or if I have to probably enhance my customer experience, I want to focus my energies on leveraging this data, fall back onto this data. For that, I need a scalable platform where I need the data, and I also want to find ways in terms of bringing this data to that data warehouse. While the first problem of where I get this data was solved by our very own Snowflake, which is a partner we work with, the second problem is where Fivetran came into picture. So they had whole suite of tools across databases, applications, file systems, event systems. And when we were having this conversation with Mr. 𝗵𝗂𝘁, who is the CTO, he said it would take a team of 5 to 6 people. It would take a team of 5 to 6 people a period of 4 months to build these initial pipelines. So just to bring that initial data, it would take him about 5 to 6 months, or 4 months for a team of 5 to 6. And imagine the opportunity cost. This day, you don't want to waste 4 months into solving a problem. And with Fivetran, what they were able to do is connect 9+ sources in few hours, and they had in 2 days all the data in the Snowflake destination, which were query ready to build those analytics and help them solve those problems. So this talks about the reliability and the scalability of this platform, where they were able to reduce the 4 months of effort into 2 days, or less than 2 days, I would say. While this is a classic use case of internal analytics, where you have your destination, where you want to bring your own data from your native sources within your ecosystem, your CRMs, your marketing tools. But what if you have some external analytics use case where you want to access data from data sources outside your ecosystem? That's where I have my second use case, which is with Topline. So Topline is a B2B SaaS company. They took birth during the pandemic, and they're doing wonders in the global stage. They identified a problem to help organizations improve their conversion rates, and for this, they have a destination, but they need the data from their end customers to be ingested into their destination for them to do that segmentation and push it back to the customer. This is a problem which has problems which are multifold. Where one, you have a scalability issue. Every time you onboard a customer, you will have tens of sources which you need to build those pipelines for. Two, there is a security issue. Once you onboard a customer, you'll have to manage their credentials, tokens. That's again is a painful process. And three, time. Imagine if 4 months were for 𝗃𝗁 to build those pipelines, what would Topline has to go through? I don't think they would even have gotten their series. Now, what Fivetran was able to help Topline with is, one, we have a tool called Powered by Fivetran, with which, as a customer of Topline, I have a user interface through which I can put in the credentials and authenticate what is the data I have to share with Topline. Topline gets that data, and they build those analytics and push it back to the customer. Now, one, there was the issue of security, which we solved by giving that power back to the customer so that they can authenticate the data and they can choose what data they want to transfer. Two, we have made sure that is scalable, because whenever they have a new customer, it takes less than 10 minutes to connect to any source of their choice so that the data starts flowing into their destination. And three, they're saving so much of time. When you solve these three problems, right, you have one more thing that is an advantage, which is creating a user experience. So when I have a seamless process where I can ingest the data and the Topline platform gives me the ways to improve my conversion rate, I'm a happy customer. So that is the impact Fivetran was able to provide to Topline. And while we were preparing this case study a couple of months back, their team told us unique thing which I'm taking to all my prospects and customers. They said with Fivetran, 10 plus 0 is 100. He said 10 plus 0 is 100. Don't take it literally. What he means by that is, it takes less than 10 minutes to connect to any source of choice so that the data starts flowing. In fact, less than 10 minutes. What he means by 0 is it takes 0 effort, 0 maintenance in terms of managing these pipelines. And when you have a seamless data pipelines, you have a 100% data delivery on the destination. So that's all from my side. I hope this was informative. We have a stall outside. Please feel free to stop by, and let's make us be that hook to make the chandelier shine. Thank you.
Thank you.
One question. Thank you so much for that great presentation, Kiran and Yash. So, so the question is, when you transfer the data, right, from source system to, and the data may be a batch kind of data, right, from typical RDBMSs where you must be doing log mining or something like that, or the real-time events, right, real-time events. So, do you just replicate the data as is, or you also transform the data, like add some filters to that, or some kind of aggregations to that? That is question number one. And second is, do you use the Kafka kind of layer for high concurrency kind of events, PubSub model, or something like that, or you have built your own one? Thanks.
So yeah, let me explain that. So when we are moving data from, irrespective of sources, whether it's SAS or DBs, or whether it is APIs or events, primarily we are moving raw data. In case of applications, however, it's a little different, SaaS applications. In case of SaaS applications, we have actually taken the ERD model of those respective SaaS applications like Adobe, Salesforce, Oracle, HRMS, irrespective, whichever, like 150+ applications which we connect to. So their respective ERDs are published inside Fivetran pipelines. So when we move that data, we take the data with the schema and move it to target as the schema. So it is analysis ready. Doesn't require further movement and transformations over there. So when we take, so basically the SaaS application gives data technically in a JSON format, but we don't go and load a JSON straight away on Snowflake or Databricks. We go and load the data in an ERD format.
Okay, so from JSON to table format, tabular format, you convert that.
Just giving an example. Similarly, like MongoDBs, like many of the new age startups or even fintechs are going on Mongo and building up transaction systems on Mongo. Now Mongo is again in NoSQL. We convert that to analysis ready format and move it.
And data drift and everything is also
taken care of. Data drift,
care.
the schema management part, everything is taken care of automatically in the pipeline piece itself.
Okay.
The second piece question was around, are we following a PubSub or a Kafka kind of a method to move data? We have two other different approaches over here. We don't do Kafka, we don't do PubSub. Kafka actually we integrate with to move data from Kafka to the target. Okay, that's one of the way it becomes a source for us. What we do is two things. One is we have a CDC approach of moving data, where we move data in absolutely real to near real time to the target systems, but not basically not moving inside the databases, not touching the source applications at all. So the source performance is absolutely untouched. We look at logs to move data, and log shipping is what we take an approach on. Okay, so that completely unaffects the source systems. So that's one of the way we do high volume real-time movement of data. And second is a micro-batched architecture which we have, because everything is not required to be real-time. In case of micro-batch architecture, we can go like really doing sync every minute, every 5 minutes, and keep moving the data to the target. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe we'll connect after.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. We don't have much questions. So thank you so much, Kiran and Yashwanth, for your insightful session.